So in a rare move, I'm going to give President Trump some credit. Uh, Earlier today, I've learned that President Trump decided to grant clemency to a woman named Alice Marie Johnson. Now, Alice, of course, was a first-time nonviolent drug offender who was given a life sentence without parole. Now, Johnson had been convicted over 21 years ago for her role in facilitating communications in a cocaine trafficking operation in Memphis, Tennessee. Now, she's like, look, I was in a vulnerable position. I admit that I did something horribly wrong. I would take it back if I could. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I was desperate. Look, those arguments were not enough to sway a judge. And she was given a life sentence without the possibility of parole, plus 25 years. Now, that sentence was incredibly harsh. Again, for a first-time offender, but of course you can see why they were so harsh on her. She's a woman of color. Now, I don't believe for a second that what she did warranted that kind of sentence. Look, there are people who murder other human beings that get that type of sentence, that get life in prison. So this is an insane, horrific sentence and a complete miscarriage of justice. And look, I'm not the only one who agrees with this situation. In fact, it's someone who is very unlikely. Kim Kardashian West. She agrees. In fact, she went to the Oval Office to meet with different officials and had been writing letters back and forth to Jared Kushner and convinced him to put this case in front of President Trump to see if this not young woman, but this great-grandmother could get clemency, could be able to live out the rest of her life outside of prison walls. Now, I'm going to read to you from an exclusive interview with Mike between them and Kim Kardashian West. She said that Trump, quote, really spent time to listen to our case that we were making for Alice. He really understood, and I'm really hopeful that this will turn out really positively. Well, in this case, it did turn out really positively. Now, look, anybody who knows me knows that I have an utter disdain for President Trump. So I'm going to tell you why I think he listened to this. Number one, Kim Kardashian is famous. She is, I mean, that's nothing wrong with being famous. I think she's famous for doing nothing. But, okay, whatever. That's just my little, opinion on that. But still, she is actually trying to use her fame for good reason. And that's good. And that's good. It's definitely different from what we've seen before from Kim Kardashian West. But nonetheless, she also gets good ratings and, of course, is the wife of Trump's new friend Kanye. So I think that influence helped out with this case. Okay. Now, how did she get involved? Well, this is an interesting story, too. Now, back in October, she saw a Mike Opinion video featuring Johnson sharing her story from prison. Now, she told Mike, quote, I saw your video. If you think about the decision that you've made in your life and you get life without the possibility of parole for your first-time nonviolent offense, there's just something so wrong with that. Well, I agree with that. After she tweeted out the video, she enlisted her personal attorney, Sean Chapman Hawley, to provide legal support for Johnson's clemency petition. She had since worked behind the scenes to advocate for Johnson's release and even received a letter in November directly from Johnson. West had also spoken multiple times to Trump's son-in-law and White House senior advisor Jared Kushner about Johnson's case. Now, because of those conversations, Kushner, who also has a family member who had spent time in prison, decided to bring Johnson's file in front of White House attorneys and then Donald Trump about a potential release. And of course, now we know from President Trump that Johnson will be released. She will finally get some freedom. This is actually one of the most positive stories that I've seen from this administration. They are rare, few and far between. So look, I know how Donald Trump operates, right? So if he wants to sit here and he wants to crow about this and go, yeah, I released this woman. Yeah, she doesn't get to be in prison anymore. I did that, and it was fantastic. You know what? Great. I would agree that is fantastic. Great. Wonderful. Now do more stuff like that, and maybe you won't be such a horrible stain on history. But, so encourage that, right? Now, if he wants to point out that President Obama did not give clemency to this woman, when he did do a bunch of those right before he left, well then, okay, go ahead, have at it. That's a fair point. Why didn't this woman, who was a role model prisoner, a minister, a mentor to other women, also get released? If you want to criticize Obama for that, that's a fair criticism. And Trump, he can come out and say, I did something positive that Obama didn't do. Great. Bask in the credit all day. Because you know what? At the end of the day, it's a positive thing. I'm going to take this as a win. Now, that doesn't mean that we let Trump off the hook for everything else that he's done. Of course not. He called for the execution of drug dealers. And he also appointed Jeff Sessions to the Department of Justice. Jeff Sessions is anti-marijuana. He is anti-prison reform. So, yes, you can go and you can criticize Trump for all that stuff. I do it all the time. But on this, let's just take this as a win. A rare, rare win. Now, one more point here. Now, Kardashian West also told Mike that she plans to get more actively involved in prison reform, and also Jared Kushner is spearheading that effort as well. Again, I actually hope that they are successful. She said that Johnson's release represents the first of what she hopes will be many victories for individuals who are trapped in the criminal justice system. Quote, I think it's definitely a bigger issue that has to be addressed, and I'm glad that I'm starting with her. Well, look, I'm glad too. These are two people that I thought I would never give credit to. Kim Kardashian and Donald Trump. In this, they actually did the right thing. They deserve the credit. And look, you could say that, well, look, Kim Kardashian is doing this for fame. Well, it's kind of a funny way to do it when you're doing it behind the scenes. Knowing Kim Kardashian and the Kardashians and how they work, you would think they would make a show about it. A reality show about saving this woman's Alice Marie Johnson. But they didn't. It's behind the scenes. And so, like, credit. Let's just take a win. I wish Kim on her luck. I wish her luck on her drive to do this for more people. I hope she's serious about it. I hope Kushner is serious about it. Because what we need more than anything, I think, is prison reform. To help more people like Alice Marie Johnson. So, again, great credit to Kim Kardashian West for doing this. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.